Page where I took all the old essays from the past few SATs that they have, just put them all onto one page. Now this is actually before they changed it. The style of the writing is a little bit different, but this is a specific exercise that pertains not only to SAT, but to all of your schoolwork and your writing as well. Understand this. It's very common for students to approach things just the way everybody else does, okay? For example, one of the common prompts here is innovation lacking in the world? What do you think is the most common and the most average answer? The first sentence.
Yes, innovation is lacking.
Yes, innovation is lacking in the world. Or if they say no, innovation is not lacking in the world. If you were the teacher today and you had a range from 1 to 100 that you could give this student to start off with, keep in mind, the essay could be amazing afterwards and can bump you up. But this student, out of everybody in this class, you've got a certain percentage of kids who write that first sentence. What percentage do you think write that sentence?
Around 75%.
Yeah, it's actually a big portion, right? Over half, minimum over half. The majority of children and majority of students are going to approach this essay and simply take the wording of it and flip it with a yes and no or no and throw it back at you, okay? So how do you put yourself above that? How do you make yourself stand out? Like, again, first impressions are a big deal. Your handwriting makes an impression on the teacher. Your vocabulary choice makes an impression. And so, yeah, imagine, is this SAT reader reading anything else but this one essay from you? No. So does this first impression make a difference? Yeah. Now, do you want to say yes or no that innovation is or is not lacking in the world? Is that going to be your first sentence anymore?
Probably
not. No. Okay? So what do we have to do? We have to train ourselves to rephrase things in a manner that actually sounds good. All right? Give me your first sentence and what it would sound like, and then I'll give you an example of what I would try.
Innovation is lacking in the world where it's falling behind where it should be at.
That's not bad. Innovation's lacking because of certain technologies lacking behind. Okay? Now, what I want to point out is the fact that it still sort of sounds like a broken record, right? It still sounds like the same thing, input, spit back out, all right? And that's why I've written in big giant letters on the right of that synonyms. We need to be able to come up with synonyms and come up with rephrasings of our sentences in order to sound a little bit different, okay? It's not a matter of sounding smarter. It's actually just a matter of showing that you have a little more information and experience in this world, all right? So here are a couple techniques I want to throw at you, okay? First things first is you want to avoid the main words in the first part of the sentence. If they do show up, use them as a trailer to wrap things up, but don't use them as the introduction, okay? So is innovation lacking in this world? You don't want to start off and say yes or no, innovation is or is not because that's still a very average answer if you think about that, okay? What we want to do is we want to use different synonyms to flip things around a little bit. Let me give you my example. In today's society, technology is not lacking at all. Or we'll say, actually, instead, let's flip that around. Let's actually make it new technologies can be found in just about every corner of our world. Just about every day, there are new things being invented. It's hard to say, or it would be hard to argue that innovation is lacking in our world. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So you can still use their words. You still want to touch upon them. But did you notice it took me a couple phrases to get to it? And it took me, I almost threw my examples out as well, right? I'm saying there's technologies all over the place that you probably aren't even realizing if you think that it's lacking in the world. You see that? And so out of 1 to 100, where do I stand now with my teacher? You're at the top percentage now. And instead of you struggling from that average range trying to gain points, now they just have to take things away from you if things don't meet up to par of what you're saying. Okay? So let's take the first couple ones here just as a practice today and give me a couple of sentences as a response. Your homework is to finish all of them, but I'd like to help you out with a couple of them, okay? What you also notice is there are common ways to say things that you can use this as a reference. And I'm hoping that throughout the practice of this and throughout the practice of all the essays that we're going to be able to go through together, we'll start to get some of this phrasing into our essay so we don't just use the easy vocabulary and easy examples, okay? So give me your own for the innovation one, and then give me a couple more from there.